Sorry for the inconvenience due to earthquake. So we will continue our pre-bid conference of our civil work projects. Architect.
So again, for 26 LD006, with a contact name, construction of multi-purpose building Gymnasium, Barangay Kiagot, Digos City, Davao del Sur, with appropriation amount of 8 million pesos and ABC amount of 7 million and 920,000 pesos with a contract duration of 150 calendar days, funded under 2026 DAO, RE12314. Next. Here's the perspective of our gymnasium, proposed gymnasium. Next. So our project will be located at Barangay Kiagot in Digos City. Here's the vicinity map and geotag photo as well of the existing play court. So here's the site development plan for the project, again, which will be placed on an existing play court. The LGU provided a transfer certificate of title for the lot ownership. So for the scope of works, we have the 25 by 12 meters play court. So the existing play court will be replaced with a new one. And then next, we have the suspended board and ring, painting works, bleachers, 2-tier at the upper side, 2-tier bleachers, while 3-tier on the other side. Then we have the louvers, and we also included a new stage with toilet rooms and hand wash at the back. Here's the elevation for the gymnasium, showing the front elevation and rear elevation and the louver details. Again, we have the 5 bays, trusses, the suspended board and ring, painting works, bleachers, louvers, with canopy, and the stage. Here's the right side elevation showing the 3-tier bleachers on the right side while 2-tier bleachers on the left side. So the project will mainly compose of metal truss structure with angle bars, then a grade 60 and grade 40 reinforcing steel bars on the reinforced concrete pedestals, and 2 mm thick by 50 by 150 mm rectangular tube for the purlins. Again, here's the typical detail for the truss. And then for the summary of quantities, we have the general requirements, the permits and clearances. Under earthwork, we have the removal of structure or the existing play court, excavation and embankment. And then under reinforced concrete, you have the 3,000 and the 4,000 PSI structural concrete. And then reinforcing steel, grade 40 and grade 60. Then under finishing and other civil works, you have the masonry works, fabricated materials such as the doors and the windows for the attached toilet. Finishing works such as the tile works on the stage and the toilet, reflective insulation, ceiling. Then painting works, painting works, roof framing and roofing works. Then the under plumbing or sanitary works, we have the catch basin, sewer line works, plumbing fixtures, cold water lines, storm drainage and septic vault, and electrical works. So for contract ID 26LD0062, the contract name, Rehabilitation of Multipurpose Building Gymnasium, Remedios Saplala Elementary School, I-129756, Barangay Matti, Digos City, Davao del Sur, with appropriation amount of 5 million pesos, and ABC amount of 4,950,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 120 calendar days, funded under 2026 GA or RE12314. So this project is a rehabilitation for an existing gym. Here's the photo for the dilapidated gym. Next, so again, the project would be at Remedios Saplala Elementary School. Here's a site development plan showing the existing play court. Next, so the school provided an original certificate of title for the lot ownership. And for the scope of works, we have an overlay, a replacement, removal and replacement of the gym slab, existing gym slab, due to dilapidation. Then we would install a suspended board and ring, painting works on the play court and the whole structure. And we will replace the stage, and we will provide the bleachers with railings. Here's the elevation for the proposed rehabilitation. So again, we provided a suspended board and rain, repainting of the whole structure, removal and replacement of gym slab, replacement of the existing room, dilapidated existing roofing, then stage, bleachers, and railings. So we have the 3-tier bleachers to be installed. Here's the side elevation showing the bleachers with railings. Next, again, we will replace the dilapidated roofing sheet and repainting of metal structures or existing metal structures. So for the summary of quantities, we have the general requirements, the permits and appearances, earthwork, which is an individual of structure and construction, embankment. Then we have, under reinforced concrete, we have the 3,000 and 4,000 PSI structural concrete with 40 basis reinforcing steel. Under finishing, under civil works, you have the masonry works, finishing works, as well as reflective insulation and railing, painting works, roof framing and roofing works, plumbing, sanitary, which includes the storm drainage and the catch basin and downspout, and electrical works. So for contract ID 26LD0074, with a contract name, construction of multi-purpose building, office building, Carubang, Asturga, Santa Cruz, Davao del Sur, with an appropriation amount of 5 million pesos, an ABC amount of 4,950,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 120 calendar days, under 2026 GAA or RA 12314. So our project will be located at Carubang, Asturga, Santa Cruz. Here's a vicinity map, which was near to Bison Elementary School. Here's the geotag photo. The EDU provided a transfer certificate of title for the lot ownership. Here's the site development plan showing the proposed building, which should be located near at their existing gym and tribal hall. So here's the proposed one-story building, office building for Carubang, Asturga. Here's the floor plan, which has a total floor area of 96 square meters, or with the dimensions of 12 meters by 8 meters, with the spaces provided are the following: porch, clerical office, head office, pantry, male and female PWD toilet, room, and around. So the project will be composed of reinforced concrete columns and beams, next, and steel trusses for the roof framing. So again, for the summary quantities, we have the general requirements, permits and clearances, earthwork, the removal structure, excavation, embankment, reinforced concrete. We have the 3,000 and 4,000 PSI structural concrete with 40 grade 6 reinforcing steel. Then under finishing and other civil works, you have the termite control works, soil poisoning and wood preservative, masonry works, fabricated materials such as the doors and the windows, finishing works such as the ceiling, tile works, and then we have painting works, roof framing and roofing works, plumbing, which includes the catch basin, storm drainage and downspout, sewer line works, cold water lines, and septic vault. Then electrical works, then under mechanical works, we have an air conditioning system and fire extinguishers provided. For contract ID 26LD0109, or contract name, construction of multi-purpose building, sleeping quarters at Girl Scout, Barangay Matti, Digos, Davao del Sur, an appropriation amount of 9,500,000 pesos, ABC amount of 9,405,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 150 calendar days, funded under 2026 GAA or RA 12314. So our project will be located at Barangay Matti at the Girl Scout compound. So their office provided a transfer certificate of title for the lot ownership. Next. So here's our proposed one-story building. We serve as sleeping quarters or a training hall as well. So next, here's an open plan. Here's our floor plan with 250 square meters floor area or 10 meters by 25 meters dimension with the spaces provided, a main entrance, sleeping quarters, and will be served also as a function hall as well. So it's an open plan. Restrooms for the male and the female, with also caters PWD, mess hall, and then service entrance or emergency exit. The building would mainly compose of wide flange beams and columns or I-beams. So for the summary of quantities, we have the general requirements, the permits and clearances. Earthwork, we have the embankment, excavation, reinforced concrete, we have the 3,000 and 4,000 PSI structural concrete, grade 40 and grade 60 reinforcing steel. Under finishing and other civil works, we have the thermal control works, masonry works, fabricated materials as the doors and the windows, finishing works as the ceiling, tile works, cladding. Then we have the painting works, roof framing and roofing works. Then we have the plumbing or sanitary works, catch basin, sewer line works, plumbing fixtures, electric vault, electrical works. Then under mechanical works, we provided an air conditioning system and fire extinguishers. For contract ID 26LD0110, with a contract name, construction of multipurpose building, dormitory building at Davao del Sur State College, Digos City, Davao del Sur, an appropriation amount of 10 million pesos, an ABC amount of 9,900,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 150 calendar days, funded under 2026 GA or RA 12314. The building would be placed at the vicinity of Davao del Sur State College. Here's the geotag photo. Their office or school provided an original certificate of title for the lot ownership. So this project is a progressive type project. So here's the proposed perspective, but due to lack of funding, this is a progressive type. So it would only include the structural components of the building, so unfinished. So here's the proposed floor plan with the dimension of 14 meters by 14. Spaces provided, an entrance, office, restrooms, bedroom, dining, kitchen area. So again, this project would only include the structural, the columns and beams on the roofing, and the slab on the second floor. So this is a progressive type project, and it is a two-story building. So this is the second floor plan. It is the entrance, restroom, bedroom, dining, service entrance, and fire exit. So for the summary of quantities, we have the general requirements, the permits and clearances, earthwork, embankment, excavation. Then under reinforced concrete, we have the 4,000 PSI structural concrete only, because reinforcing steel, the grade 40 and grade 60. Then under finishing under civil works, we only provided the painting works for the steel structure, the I-beams, then roof framing and roofing works. So for contract ID 26LD0117, or with the contact name, construction of multipurpose building, feeding center, Asturga CES, or Central Elementary School, Santa Cruz, Davao del Sur, an appropriation amount of 5 million pesos, an ABC amount of 4,950,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 120 calendar days, funded under 2026 GA or RA 12314. So again, our project will be located at Asturga Central Elementary School at Santa Cruz. Here's a geotag photo as well. Next. So our building will be located right at their in front of their existing school building and near an existing gymnasium. So the school provided Digos for the lot ownership. So here's our one-story building for the feeding center. So the building has a total of floor area of 234 square meters. The dimensions are based on the standard classroom building with a 7 by 9 each classroom, but this would cater as a feeding center, so we provided a kitchen and attached toilet. Next, so the project or the building would be composed of reinforced concrete columns and beams and steel truss for the roof framing. So, for the summary of quantities, we have the general requirements, the permission of clearances, earthwork, individual removal of tree, structural excavation, embankment. Then we have the reinforced concrete, the 3,000 and 4,000 PSI structural concrete, and grade 40 and grade 60 reinforcing steel. Then under finishing and other civil works, we have the termite control works, masonry works, fabricated materials such as the doors and the windows, finishing works such as the ceiling, tile works, and effective insulation, painting works, roof framing and roofing works. Then we have the plumbing, our sanitary works, which includes the septic vault, catch basin, storm drainage and downspout, cold water line and sewer line works. Electrical works, then mechanical works, we provided a fire extinguisher and smoke detector. For contract ID 26LD0120, with the contract name, construction of multipurpose building, Hall of Justice, Davao del Sur, in appropriation amount of 5 million pesos, and ABC amount of 4,950,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 120 calendar days, funded under 2026 GAA or RA 12314. So the project would be located at the municipal site of Parada. Here's the geotag photo of the existing Hall of Justice. The existing Hall of Justice would be replaced with a new one or to be demolished. So here's the site development plan. The LGU provided an original certificate of title for the lot ownership. Here's a proposed one-story building, Hall of Justices. Perspective. So the building will be composed of reinforced concrete columns and beam and steel trusses. So for the floor plan, we have a total floor area of 420 square meters or with a dimension of 15 meters by 8 meters. Space is provided as the following: an entry porch, PWH toilet, office, judge chamber, common toilet and bath, child court, and for the summary of quantities, we have the general requirements, the permits and clearances. Earthwork, we have the individual removal of tree and removal of structure or demolition of the existing building, embankment. And then under reinforced concrete, we have the 3,000 and the 4,000 PSI structural concrete and the grade 40 and grade 60 reinforcing steel. Then under finishing and other civil works, we have the termite control works, include soil poisoning and wood preservative, masonry works, fabricated materials such as doors and the windows, finishing works such as ceiling, tile works, and effective insulation, painting works, roof framing and roofing works, plumbing or sanitary works, which includes a catch basin, storm drainage and downspout, sewer line and cold water lines, the septic vault and plumbing fixtures, electrical works, and under mechanical works, we provided an air conditioning system and fire extinguishers. For contract ID 26LD0197, or with the contract name, construction completion of multipurpose building, Barangay Center, Barangay Linawan, Bansalan, Davao del Sur, new appropriation amount of 3 million pesos, and ABC amount of 2,970,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 70 calendar days, funded under 2026 GAA or RA 12314. So here's the vicinity map, which is located at the barangay site of Linawan. And here's the existing the photo of the existing building to be rehabilitated. The LG provided a tax declaration for the lot ownership. So this is a development plan showing the project to be rehabilitated or the existing building, which is right at the back of Linawan Barangay Hall. So here's the existing floor plan. with a total for 50 square meters, or dimension 6 by 6.4 meters I mentioned. So these pieces are existing or the existing structure, the clerical office, pantry, toilet room, head office, service area, PWH ramp to be added. So again, the scope of works, we have the repainting of the whole building, replacing of all doors and windows, replacement of the dilapidated exterior and interior ceiling, replacement of the framing and roofing, dilapidated roof, replacement of floor tiles, replacement of the existing kitchen counter. Then we have to add a PWH ramp at the front of the building, and then the placement of interior drywalls into CHB walls, and then repainting of the interior walls and the ceiling. We will also provide downspouts, gutter and catch basin for the building, and we will also replace the electrical wirings and fixtures. So for the summary of quantities, we have the draw requirements, permits and clearances, earthwork. We have the reinforced concrete, 2,000 to 4,000 PSI, navigate 40 and grade 6 reinforcing steel. Under finishing and receiver works, we have the wood preservative for the replacement of the doors and the windows. Masonry works, fabricated materials on the doors and the windows. Finishing works, such as the tile works in the ceiling, painting works, roofing and roof framing and roofing works, plumbing. Then we have electrical and mechanical, which we provided an air conditioning system and fire extinguishers and smoke detector. Lastly, for contract IA 26LD0201, or the contract name construction of multi-purpose building, Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office in Bansalan, Davao del Sur, an appropriation amount of 10 million pesos, an ABC amount of 9,900,000 pesos, with a contract duration of 150 calendar days and funded under 2026 GAA or RE 12314. So here's the vicinity map of the building, which should be located near the Magsaysay Academy or near Magsaysay Central Elementary School. Here's the geotag photo as well. So for the proof of ownership, the LG provided a transfer certificate of title for the lot ownership. Here's the site development plan showing the proposed project and the geotag photo. Here's a proposed perspective of the one-story building. Next. So the building has a total floor area of 240 square meters, or with the dimensions of 20 meters by 12 meters. Spaces provided are the following: a porch, clerical office, head office, conference room, pantry, PWH toilet rooms, monitoring and radio room, server room, toilet rooms, male and female quarters, then storage room. The building would mainly compose of reinforced concrete columns and beams, next, and steel trusses for the roof framing. So for the summary of quantities, we have the general requirements, the permits and clearances. On the earthwork, we have the removal of trees, excavation and embankment. Under reinforced concrete, we have 3,000 and 4,000 PSI structural concrete, and then the grade 14 and grade 60 reinforcing steel. Under finishing and other civil works, we have thermal control works, masonry works, fabricated materials such as the doors and the windows. Finishing works such as the ceiling, tile works, aesthetic insulation and cladding, painting works, roof framing and roofing works, plumbing and sanitary works, which includes a catch basin, some linen, chandal spout, sewer line and cold water line, plumbing fixtures and septic vault, electrical works, and then under mechanical works, we provided an air conditioning system, fire extinguisher, and smoke detector. That's it for the for the building projects.
For agenda number 1B, the requirement of bidding documents, including instruction to bidders, general condition of contract, special condition of contract specification, drawings, bill quantities, and forms. And for agenda number 1C, the documents to be submitted by the bidders. And for agenda number 1D, the criteria and procedure for eligibility check, preliminary examination of bids, detailed evaluation of bids, post-qualification, and award. This to be discussed by Engineer Achilles Remedios.
In the bid. The first bid envelope shall contain the following technical documents, including the eligibility documents. First, valid PhilJUP's registration certificate, platinum membership, all pages, in accordance with Section 20 of the IRR of RA 12009. QR code must be clear and readable. Failure of the bidder to update its PhilJUP certificate of registration with the current and updated supporting documents shall result in the automatic suspension of the bidder's certificate. Second, special PCAB license and registration in case of joint venture. Third, statement of all ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. Failure by the bidder to disclose all ongoing government and private contracts leads to automatic disqualification and potential blacklisting for misrepresentation. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments. 1. Copy of notice of award and/or contract. 2. Copy of notice to proceed issued by the project owner. And 3. Copy of certificate of accomplishment signed by the project owner or authorized representative. In case of no ongoing contract, the bidder shall submit this duly signed form and indicate no ongoing contracts under the column number 1. Dual purpose of the statement, all ongoing contracts. It is relevant in relation to the computation of the NFCC formula. The value of all outstanding or uncompleted portions of ongoing contracts will be deducted from the product of the current assets minus liabilities multiplied by 15. Hence, for the procuring entity to determine the correct computation of the NFCC, the bidder shall declare all of its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. The statement of all ongoing government and private contracts still has its significance in relation to the verification on the bidder's performance in its ongoing contracts during post-qualification process. Fourth, statement of single largest completed contract, or SLCC, similar to the contract to be bid, in accordance with instructions to bidders, clause 5.5. SLCC must be equivalent at least 50% of the ABC. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments. 1. Copy of contract. 2. Copy of certificate of completion. And 3. Copy of certificate of final acceptance issued by the project owner other than the contractor, or a final rating of at least satisfactory in the constructor's performance evaluation system. In case of contracts with the private sector, an equivalent document shall be submitted. Fifth, net financial contracting capacity, or NFCC computation, in accordance with instructions to bidders, clause 5.6. Computation as follows. Current assets minus current liabilities multiplied by 15 minus the value of all outstanding or uncompleted portions of the projects under ongoing contracts, including awarded contracts yet to be started, coinciding with the contract to be bid. NFCC must be at least equal to the ABC. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments. 1. Copy of latest audited financial statement, or AFS. And 2. Copy of proof of receipt for AFS submitted to the BIR. Confirmation receipt for online submission, or BIR receipt stamp for manual submission. 6th. Joint venture agreement, if applicable. Joint ventures may participate, provided that the primary purpose of each member must be similar or related to the requirements of the project. Each member of the joint venture shall jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity in case of breach or failure to comply with the requirements of the project. Seventh, bid security in the prescribed form and amount in accordance with instructions to bidders, Clause 16, and validity period under Clause 15. The bid security shall be in the form of a bid securing declaration or any of the following. The amount of not less than 2% of the ABC if bid security is in cash. The amount of not less than 5% of the ABC if bid security is in surety bond. Bids and bid security shall be valid for 120 calendar days from bid opening. Eighth, project requirements, which shall include the following. 1. Organizational chart for the contract. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. 2. List of contractors' key personnel to be assigned to the contract with their qualification data. These personnel must meet the required minimum years of experience set in the bid data sheet. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents, attachments, letter of nominee, notarized certificate of employment, biodata, copy of PRC ID, PTR, TIN, and certificate of accreditation and/or training. Key personnel, particularly the project manager, project engineer, and materials engineer, must be different persons. Accredited safety officer required upon issuance of notice of award, subject to Department Order Number 35, Series of 2021. First aider with certificate of training issued by the Red Cross in compliance to Department of Labor and Employment requirements for the approval of construction safety and health program required upon issuance of notice of award, subject to Department Order Number 35, Series of 2021. Compliance to DOE Department Order Number 252, Series of 2025. Revised implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act Number 11058, entitled An Act Strengthening Compliance with Occupational Safety and Health Standards and Providing Penalties for Violations thereof. 3. List of contractors' major construction and laboratory equipment units to be assigned to the contract, supported by certifications of availability, which must meet the minimum requirements for the contract set in the bid data sheet. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Attachments, proof of ownership ORCR and affidavit of ownership, lease contract and affidavit of commitment if applicable, purchase agreement if applicable, certification of availability of equipment issued by owner, lessor, or vendor, and certification of minimum laboratory equipment duly certified by any DPWH office. 4. Notarized omnibus sworn statement in accordance with Section 54.3 of the IRR of RA 12009, supported by duly notarized special power of attorney, board, partnership resolution, or secretary certificate, whichever is applicable. 5. Latest General Information Sheet, or GIS, reflecting the beneficial ownership information duly received by the Securities and Exchange Commission for corporations. 6. ISO 9001-2015 certification, or its latest version, as applicable, in compliance with Department Order Number 110, Series of 2024. The second bid envelope, or the financial component, shall contain the following. 1. Bid form. 2. Bid prices in the bill of quantities. 3. Detailed estimates including a summary sheet indicating the unit prices of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in coming up with the bid. And 4. Cash flow by quarter. Use the prescribed template provided in the bidding documents. Format and signing of bids. Bidders shall submit their bids through their duly authorized representative using the appropriate forms provided in Section 9, Philippine bidding documents related forms on or before the deadline specified in the ITB Clause 19 in 2 separate sealed bid envelopes, which shall be submitted simultaneously, whether through manual or online electronic submission. The first envelope shall contain the technical component of the bid, including eligibility requirements under ITB Clause 12, and the second envelope shall contain the financial component of the bid. Forms as mentioned in ITB Clause 17.1 must be completed without any alterations to their format. No substitute form shall be accepted. Each and every page of the bid form, including the bill of quantities under Section 9 hereof, shall be signed by the duly authorized representative of the bidder. Failure to do so shall be a ground for the rejection of the bid. Any insertions, erasures, or overwriting shall be valid only if they are signed or initialed by the duly authorized representative of the bidder. Sealing and marking of bids. Bidders shall enclose their technical documents described in ITB Clause 12 in one sealed envelope marked as technical component, and the financial component in another sealed envelope marked as financial component, sealing them all in an outer envelope marked as bid. The bid shall be typed or written in ink and shall be signed by the bidder or its duly authorized representative. All envelopes shall contain the name of the contract to be bid in capital letters. Bear the name and address of the bidder in capital letters. Be addressed to the procuring entity's bids and awards committee in accordance with ITB Clause 18.1. Bear the specific identification of this bidding process indicated in the ITB Clause 1.1. And bear a warning, do not open before the date and time for the opening of bids in accordance with ITB Clause 19. For manually submitted bid envelopes that are not properly sealed and marked, as required in the bidding documents, the same shall be accepted, provided that the bidder or its duly authorized representative shall acknowledge such condition of the bid as submitted. On the other hand, unsealed or unmarked bid envelopes, or bids that cannot be opened or corrupted in case of online submission, shall be rejected. The Bids and Awards Committee shall assume no responsibility for misplaced or lost contents of the improperly sealed or marked bid, or for its premature opening. Bid documents must be prepared on A4 size paper and properly labeled with ear tag, matching those on the checklist. All supporting documents, photocopied from the original, shall be legibly readable and will be authenticated as needed during the post-qualification process. Illustration for the sealing and marking of bids. The bidder shall submit one original and one copy one of the technical and financial components of its bid. Submission and receipt of bids. Bid submission may be done manually or electronically. However, bidders should only select one mode of submission, either manual or electronic online. For bids to be submitted manually, bids must be duly received by the Bids and Awards Committee Secretariat on or before the scheduled date set in the bidding documents. For bids to be submitted electronically online, bidders should observe the guidelines for the electronic submission and receipt of bids as per Department Order Number 87, Series of 2020. Bids submitted after the deadline shall not be accepted. Email address for the electronic bid submission, electronicbids_Davao del Sur at dpwh.gov.ph. Bidder's responsibilities. The bidder, by the act of submitting its bid, shall be deemed to have inspected the site, determined the general characteristics of the contract works and the conditions for this project, and examine all instructions, forms, terms, and project requirements in the bidding documents. Further, the bidder shall bear all costs associated with the preparation and submission of its bid. The procuring entity shall in no case be responsible or liable for those costs, regardless of the conduct or outcome of the bidding process. Furthermore, the bidder should be aware that the procuring entity will accept bids only from those that have paid the applicable fee for the bidding documents at the office indicated in the invitation to bid. Clarifications and amendment of bidding documents. Prospective bidders may request for clarifications on and/or interpretation of any part of the bidding documents. Such requests must be in writing and submitted to the Bids and Awards Committee of the procuring entity at least 10 calendar days before the deadline set for the submission and receipt of bids. Supplemental bid bulletins may also be issued upon the procuring entity's initiative for purposes of clarifying or modifying any provision of the bidding documents not later than 7 calendar days before the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. It shall be the responsibility of all prospective bidders, including those who have properly secured the bidding documents, to inquire and secure supplemental bid bulletins that may be issued by the Bids and Awards Committee. Eligibility criteria, evaluation. Eligibility criteria shall be in accordance with Section 52.4.2 of the IRR of RA 12009 Eligibility evaluation for the procurement of locally funded civil works contracts shall be conducted electronically using the Civil Works Registry pursuant to Department Order Number 64, Series of 2012. Contractors who wish to participate in the bidding are encouraged to enroll in the DPWH Civil Works Application, or CWA, at the Procurement Service, 5th floor DPWH Building, Bonifacio Drive, Port Area, Manila. While those already enrolled shall keep their records current and updated. Preliminary examination of bids. The Bids and Awards Committee shall open the bids in public immediately after the deadline for submission and receipt of bids, as specified in the bid data sheet. In case the bids cannot be opened as scheduled due to justifiable reasons, the Bids and Awards Committee shall take custody of the submitted bids and reschedule the opening of bids on the next working day, or at the soonest possible time, through the issuance of notice of postponement to be posted on the PhilJeps and DPWH websites. The Bids and Awards Committee shall open the technical and financial proposals on the same day. The bidders or their duly authorized representatives may attend the opening of bids. Detailed evaluation and comparison of bids. The procuring entity's evaluation of bids shall be based on the bid price quoted in the bid form, which includes the bill of quantities. The procuring entity will undertake the detailed evaluation and comparison of the bids which have passed the opening and preliminary examination of bids to determine the lowest calculated bid, or LCB. The Bids and Awards Committee shall immediately conduct a detailed evaluation of all bids using non-discretionary criteria considering the following. A. Completeness of the bid. Bids not addressing or providing all of the required items in the bid data sheet shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified. B. Arithmetical corrections. The BAC shall consider computational errors and omissions to enable proper comparison of all eligible bids. Any adjustment shall be calculated in monetary terms to determine the calculated prices. The BAC shall evaluate all bids on an equal footing to ensure fair and competitive bid comparison. For this purpose, all bidders shall be required to include in their bids the cost of all taxes, such as, but not limited to, value-added tax, income tax, local taxes, and other fiscal levies and duties. Such bids, including said taxes, shall be the basis for the bid evaluation and comparison. Post-qualification. The BAC shall determine to its satisfaction whether the bidder that is evaluated as having submitted the lowest calculated bid complies with and is responsive to all the requirements and conditions specified in ITB Clause 5 and 12. The determination shall be based upon an examination of the documentary evidence of the bidder's qualifications submitted pursuant to ITB Clause 12, as well as other information as the procuring entity deems necessary and appropriate using a non-discretionary pass or fail criterion, which shall be completed within a period of 12 calendar days. If the BAC determines that the bidder with the LCB passes all the criteria for post-qualification, it shall declare the said bid as lowest calculated responsive bid and recommend to the head of the procuring entity the award of contract to the said bidder at its submitted bid price or its calculated bid price, whichever is lower. Reservation clause. Notwithstanding the eligibility or post-qualification of a bidder, and without incurring any liability, the head of the procuring entity at any stage of the procurement reserves the right to review its qualifications, reject any and all bids, declare a failure of bidding, or not award the contract in the following situations. A. If it has reasonable grounds to believe that a misrepresentation has been made by the said bidder. Or B. If it has reasonable grounds to believe that there has been a change in the bidder's capability to undertake the project from the time it submitted its eligibility requirements. Should such review uncover any misrepresentation made in the eligibility and bidding requirements, statements or documents, or any changes in the situation of the bidder, which will adversely affect its capability to undertake the project so that it no longer meets the prescribed eligibility or bid evaluation criteria, the procuring entity shall consider the said bidder as ineligible and disqualify it from participating further in the bidding process or being awarded the contract. Award of contract. The head of the procuring entity shall award the contract to the bidder whose bid has been determined to be the lowest calculated responsive bid, or LCRB. The procuring entity shall notify the winning bidder in writing that its bid has been accepted through a notice of award duly received by the bidder or its representative personally. End of presentation. Thank you.
For agenda number 2, any questions or comments from any interested bidders or other representatives of their entity? So, this proceed to agenda number 3, other matters. It is informed to the interested bidders that cancellation of order of payment is not allowed without justification and valid reason, and also all bidders sending the representative must acquire a special power of attorney and should be specific to the project they wanted to participate. For agenda number 4, the summary of proceedings, including supplemental bid bulletin to be issued. This is to be discussed by Engineer Matti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is to inform our interested bidders that we have issued supplemental bulletin dated June 17, 2026 and posted to our field jobs on DPWH website for the following projects. For 26 LD 0068, we have issued supplemental bulletin number 2026-008. For 26 LD 0056, we have issued supplemental bulletin number 2026-009. For 26 LD 0057, supplemental bulletin number 2026-010. For 26 LD 0069, we have issued supplemental bulletin number 2026-012. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So, okay. So, the pre-bid conference adjourned at exactly 3:49 p.m.